Yes, I think I speak for all my colleagues in expressing our condolences to his friends, to his colleagues, to his family. He was a wonderful man to know in many ways because he was, as many people have pointed out, a humble person. You know, when lots of people, when they get into positions of power and authority, can get sort of puffed up, believe they're more important than other people. That was never my experience of Minister Mthembu. He was always open, he was always warm, and he always treated people with humanity and decency. And I think that's how we'll all remember him.
Yeah. How often did you have interactions with him? Was it now during his latest position as minister in the presidency, I imagine?
I first met him when he was chief whip. When I first arrived here a few years ago, I said I found him accessible, which is not the case with everybody, and open and warm-hearted. And I think my colleagues and his colleagues in the party, in Parliament, have said similar things about him. I believe we have we'll have a common shared memory of a decent man, a fundamentally human person.
Yeah. Many people reflecting on his life and the suggestion that perhaps how we should honor the memory of Jackson Mthembu would be for what he advocated for, particularly in his latest position, and that is that of washing our hands, making sure that we observe these non-pharmaceutical interventions in as far as this pandemic is concerned. From your side, as people in the diplomatic community, what is it that you think countries like South Africa should do in particular to try and get these vaccines to get to countries like South Africa and throughout the continent?
Look, I think first of all, this is a shared challenge. We are facing a tough time in the UK, just as South Africa is battling this second wave. And I think the importance of the message Minister Mthembu was promoting in his most recent role was that we need to take this seriously. It's not something we can dismiss. People should be following all the guidelines and doing what governments recommend to try and control and spread and reduce the rate of infections and the rates of hospitalization. So I think that's the first thing I would say. I think the second thing is to say that I recognize that this virus is touching a lot of people, particularly in this second wave. We have lost a member, a South African colleague from our own staff recently, when many people have been ill with the virus. Many people's families have suffered bereavements. So this is really something we all have to take seriously. And when it comes to vaccines, we've said from the beginning it's really important that all countries should have access to vaccines, because we know that this disease cannot be beaten in one country alone. We've put a lot of money into COVAX, which is the multilateral facility to supply vaccines to low-income countries, which South Africa has taken advantage of. South Africa, as you know, is now rolling out and publicizing its own plans, and we're looking for ways to support that in any way we can.
Yeah, and I like the last bit there when you talk about how the countries that have the means, first world countries like yours, the United Kingdom, that have the means, it's important that they try and make sure that low-income countries benefit from these vaccines. I talked to you at a time when there is international outrage, I would call it, over what many people have said is vaccine nationalism. And it's not just South Africa, Mr. Casey, that's lost a cabinet minister. Zimbabwe has just lost its third this week. What contributions from the United Kingdom are there, would you say, that are targeted at low-income countries so that they also do share in these vaccines?
So we've devoted over £500 million to COVAX, which is the multilateral facility set up precisely for the purpose of ensuring that low and middle income countries have the ability to access vaccines at an affordable price. We've leveraged through that over $1 billion in support to COVAX. We have here in South Africa, we are the only country which has made a direct donation to the South African Solidarity Fund to address impacts of coronavirus, and we're looking at what more we can do through the Solidarity Fund to help with the rollout of vaccines as that comes on stream. So South Africa is we recognise in a difficult position because it's an upper middle income country, so it doesn't qualify automatically for the aid funded part of COVAX, and it therefore needs to find resources to acquire vaccines. But we are firmly committed to the multilateral route, and we will not stop until this disease is dealt with all around the world, because we know it's in our interest. It will keep coming back everywhere until it is controlled everywhere.
Yeah. Final question to you, Nigel Casey, and it's got to do with the stigmatization that comes with this pandemic. Just a few days ago, we listened to the chair of the advisory committee to the Minister of Health, Dr. Karim, talking about how we should avoid using the term the South African variant. And that kind of talk first came from a minister in your country. How important is it that we avoid this kind of stigma? Because this variant, as we have now seen, I think there's about 23 the world over, the mutations of this COVID-19. How important is it that we drive the message that particularly high-profile people in positions of cabinet ministers should avoid stigmatization?
Look, we recognise the importance of that. We have been subject to it ourselves, because all around the world, journalists use the shorthand UK variant in respect of the variant that was first discovered in Kent in the UK. So we're trying to avoid using those terms and instead talk about variants first discovered in X, because I mean that fundamentally it's only because of the strength of South African science, of British science in genomic sequencing in particular, that these new variants were discovered, and our health minister explicitly recognised that when he made the announcement to which you're referring. So we accept the point, and we are looking to try and, wherever possible, avoid using journalese shorthand labelling countries and stigmatising.
Nigel Casey, thank you very much for your message of condolence. He is the British High Commissioner to South Africa, talking to us from Cape Town. Thanks indeed.